the Prince is a Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Burn the Witch. This is a movie reaction, but it is not a donation award. It's something that I've wanted to see for a long time and just never got around to, and it's one of those, it's just one of those lately that is another my choice movie. So yeah, just wanted to get to this because it's like, I just want to see this. I want to finally get to this, and I thought, like, I could react to this. Now, there is a issue with this one, though, because this is a movie, but Crunchyroll, for some reason, when it got the rights to put it up and everything, put it up as 3 episodes, as a mini-series or an OVA or something. Even though it's a movie. It's literally a movie, but Crunchyroll put it up as episodes. And because of this, because Crunchyroll had the rights to it and everything, it's in this episode format everywhere. Any site you try to find it on, it's in this format. And it's like, you can't find it in a movie format. I looked everywhere. And it really sucks. It really sucks because it's like, this is a movie, so it's weird to react to it like this, but don't really have a choice. It's just the American distributor, I guess you could say, just really fucked this up, and I don't know why. It feels like there's no real reason for them to have done it this way, but they did. So I have the 3 episodes downloaded. So we're going to go from one to the other. We'll do the first, then the second, then the third, obviously. But keep in mind, this is in actuality a movie. It is just Crunchyroll that decided to fuck everything up, basically. Now, all I know about this movie is that it is a short series, a short manga series that was created by Tite Kubo, the same mangaka as Bleach. So it's going to have that Bleach style to it. And the actual manga was very short. It was like, I don't know, like maybe 6 chapters. It was very short. It's like a one-off thing. A very short, it's not quite a one-shot because, again, there's multiple chapters, but yeah. There is a little prequel one-shot thing, though, for it that apparently is also being made into an anime OVA or something like that that's coming out, I want to say, next year that they announced. But that's not entirely relevant today for this. So yeah, this is by Tite Kubo, same general art style, but it's a different studio, and from what I saw, this studio hasn't really done anything. It's not one that I know by name, and I can't even remember it right now. And it's like, I looked up what they've done, and they've done pretty much nothing. The second thing I know about this is that it's in the same universe as Bleach. Like, it legitimately takes place in the same canon universe. Except it takes place in the UK. And I've seen character designs. Those are like the 3 things I know about this. I don't know what the actual story is about. I don't know like what to really expect with this. But like, I know this is like same universe, same rules and everything as Bleach, just a different location in the world. So we have like our own UK Soul Society and everything, which I actually really like. Because you have a lot of these shows where it's like, oh, this all takes place in Japan. We have this big organization based on world events that happened, but we're only in Japan. And it's like, a lot of these shows and stuff don't touch on how other parts of the world are handling this all. Um, you get the occasional one that does, like Fire Force. There was a arc that went to China, but for the most part, there's not really much else out in the world from what we know. Not many other societies, but there are probably some. Um, and then you have oh, what was the other one I was thinking of? My mind is blanking now. I had another one in my mind too. Um, but you have another one. God, I can't think of it now. It was another shonen one. I can't think of it. But like one example of one that, as much as I love it, doesn't touch on this topic anywhere else, at least so far, is Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen talks about like the Tokyo and Kyoto branch being like the only branches for this. But what about cursed spirits and all of that shit happening outside of Japan? It seems to almost not acknowledge anything outside of Japan. I don't think once in the series so far, at least where I'm at in the anime, because I'm an anime only, I don't think once it has acknowledged anything about cursed spirits happening outside of Japan. The only thing I know is that Yuta, I think, left Japan. I think he's somewhere else for his little sabbatical. I think that's the only kind of mention we might have of anything even existing outside of Japan. So it's pretty wild. And then you have stuff like Soul Eater, which doesn't even take place in Japan in the first place. Soul Eater takes place in Vegas, in Nevada, or what's left in that world of Nevada. But yeah, it's like there's a lot of wild anime out there that have all this wild shit going on, but just it never acknowledges how things are going on elsewhere. And so I like that that the Bleach universe had finally gotten that, because Bleach was one of those that didn't. To my knowledge, it never acknowledged a Soul Society or anything like that outside of Japan, unless I'm forgetting or misremembering something. But now we have acknowledgement of that with the UK. And I think that's pretty cool. Again, I don't know how the story goes or how their Soul Reaper work is handled here, but I'm very interested. Also, we are doing the dub, and there's a couple reasons for this. One, it's Bleach-related property, even though it's a different studio. It just feels right to do the dub here, because even with normal Bleach taking place in Japan, I can't watch Bleach in the sub. It's like I can't watch Ichigo without hearing Johnny Young Bosch's voice. It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't sound like Ichigo unless it's Johnny Young Bosch. And Michelle Ruff is the only Rukia I will acknowledge, and so on and so forth with all the other great VAs. They can recast Renji for all I care, because his actor's a shitbag, but yeah. It's like these actors, for the most part, it's just like I've become so iconic with the characters. And so it's, again, different studio, but I'm kind of viewing it in within the same universe. I want to hear the characters in English. Also, it takes place in the UK. There is something about watching an anime that takes place in America or the UK or somewhere where they are canonically speaking English. It feels fucking weird to watch a series like that in Japanese. For example, the anime Baccano takes place in like Chicago and New York and stuff with, you know, American characters. It's like they're not going to be speaking Japanese. They're canonically speaking English. Watching it in Japanese, and I have watched Baccano in Japanese, is fucking weird. Because it's like, you know, these characters are speaking English, but you're hearing Japanese and it throws you off completely. it just breaks immersion, in my opinion, for me at least. And Carol and Tuesday is one of those where it's like it's not as bad for me, maybe because they're on Mars. They are canonically speaking English, but maybe because of the setting and stuff, it's a little easier for me to handle the fact that they are that I'm hearing them in Japanese. But I do love the dub for Carol Tuesday as well. Soul Eater is another one where it's just like I can't watch it in the sub. It's just like, and it's not even because of the voice actors, though I do love the voice actors for it. It's because it takes place in America. It's with American characters. Like, one of the main characters' names is Soul Evans. It's like you think a guy named Soul Evans is going to be speaking Japanese as his first language? No. More than likely not. A guy named Soul Evans who lives in Nevada is more than likely going to be speaking English as his first language. So it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, just, it feels wrong. But point is, those are the reasons we're doing the dub. And if anyone has not seen the stream I did earlier today, or my reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen, or the stream I did back on Wednesday, I should say, you're seeing this on Saturday. Gotta emphasize that. If you did not see the Wednesday stream or the Jujutsu Kaisen reaction from Wednesday, I probably didn't explain this in any other videos, so I'll explain it here as well. If you did not see those and are wondering about, oh, why is Connie suddenly wearing these big, bulky headphones with no cord? These are new headphones I got. My old headphones, one of the sides of them stopped working, stopped emitting sound. So I was using another pair, a backup pair I had, but weren't exactly comfortable. So my sister gave me these. These are wireless Bluetooth headphones. They've so far been working pretty well. I can adjust, they have a volume adjuster right on it, so I can adjust the volume to my fancy without having to adjust it on the computer and everything to mess up the audio levels on there. They're big, they're fairly comfortable, and mostly noise canceling as well, funny enough. But they seem to work like a charm. They even if the Bluetooth isn't working for some reason at any point, like maybe if it's not charged, it has a headphone jack cable I can use as well. Just plug this into the headphones and plug it into the headphone jack. It's like, I have options. So, yeah, if you didn't see the Jujutsu Kaisen video or the live stream from Wednesday, and were wondering about these new big, bulky headphones without any cord coming down from them normally, that would be why. That is your explanation. Just wanted to give that just in case anybody was missing that information. But I'm excited to get to this movie. I'm definitely interested to see what this is, because I wanted to see it for a long time. I am a fan of Bleach, and I want to see like what UK Soul Society is like. Plus, I want to see if the Hollows there are the same or if they're different. I assume they're still fighting Hollows, right? I assume that's probably the same. Either way, let's get into it and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. It's kind of hard to make the argument that this is supposed to be a movie when it's only an hour long, but it was released as a movie. It was originally released as a movie, and it was only split into the 3-episode thing by Crunchyroll when it came to streaming and all. It's shorter. It's a short film, but it's still a film. So outside of just some similarities and stuff, this is obviously very different than Bleach. You could make the comparison to the numbered spells they use to the Hado that the Soul Reapers in the Japanese Soul Society have. Obviously, you can compare the dragons the to the Hollows, and God, what are they called? My mind's blanking. Hold on. Menos Grande. You can compare like these fairy tale dragons to the Menos Grande or whatnot. The big, more impressive hollows and stuff from Bleach. Obviously, you have the Soul Society and everything being part of it, which again was being touted as like this big reveal at the end. And it's kind of like I already knew that going in. But maybe that wasn't actually known about prior to the movie's release. Maybe that was a big reveal, a big surprise. Sort of like how when the movie Split came out, it was revealed at the very end that it was a surprise sequel to Unbreakable. And then eventually it all connected in the final movie of the trilogy, Glass. It was probably meant to be something like that. But it was also still very obvious that the style is Tite Kubo's style. Like, anyone could have seen that. And again, there are definitely similarities. Like, 100%. One thing to note is that I don't know, like, let me look this up. Let me look this up. In fact, actually, I'm going to look it up on my phone because it'll probably be quicker, knowing how the browser tends to go. Stupid hair messing up here. I hate my hair sometimes. Burn the... Also, the title didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Because it's like the witches are the Soul Reapers here. We get that. But what do you mean, burn the witch? I don't understand that part. So, okay. So there was the one-shot originally, which is going to be turned into an anime prequel OVA. Okay, and it looks like this is being released in like a seasonal thing, which is very different from what manga releases usually are. So 4 chapters, which this anime movie was based on, was released between August and September of 2020, so 3 years ago. But a second season, quote unquote, of the manga has been announced. So there is going to be another season of the manga, presumably another 4 or so chapters. And it just hasn't come out yet. But yeah, the one shot was originally in Weekly Shonen Jump, published by Shueisha. The 4-chapter manga was as well. The anime film was made by Studio Colorido. And again, like I mentioned before, they haven't really done much of anything notable. They've done some work on a couple of ONAs, such as Pokemon Twilight Wings, Poketoon, and Star Wars Visions. But they don't really have any big things that they're known for. The closest would be A Whisker Away, which is a 2020 animated film. But that wasn't even just them. That was also Toho. And that's pretty much it. Like, they've done a couple other films that are just not as well known. and some short films as well. But they're really a small studio. And honestly, if I'm being completely fair here, it was very obvious to tell. I don't know about how the prequel anime OVA thing is going to be. Actually, let me bring that back up real quick. Does this say when it's coming out? Burn the Witch number 0.8 is what it's going to be called. I don't see anything about when it's coming out. Let me see what this says. No, because that was just announced this month that's happening. Wow. Apparently, the mobile game Bleach Brave Souls has Nini and Noelle as playable characters. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's not going to be coming out for a while. Maybe that's going to help a little bit, but if I'm being completely honest, the fact that this just kind of throws us in without proper introductions to anything, it makes it really hard to follow along to, and honestly hurts my enjoyment of it a lot. Like genuinely, without a little, take a moment, breathe. Without exaggeration, that's what I was trying to say. This feels like I started an anime in the middle of something. Like, okay, so this is a movie. It feels like there should have been a lot of series that came prior to this. Like let's say you watched, for an anime series, let's say you watched 20 episodes at the very least, just to introduce characters and plots and ideas. And then this episode, or then this movie would kind of work after at least 20 episodes of a series. Because the movie, like, it kind of explains things, but with, one, the fact that it's so short, and two, the fact that it's just go, go, go constantly. It's like, you don't really get a time to absorb any information. Like, there's so much that I don't quite grasp. I don't even exactly know what their jobs are supposed to be. Like, it seems like this this version of the Soul Society, this, like, I forgot exactly what they called it, but it seems like they have multiple different, like, stages, sort of like how the Japanese Soul Society has, you know, the captains, their vice captains, and the rest of the squad and everything. It seems like there's multiple different kinds of positions you can hold within this this organization, and I don't quite understand what any of them are. It doesn't really allow you to understand any of it. It feels like it's just thrusting information at you, but not actually going out of its way to explain any of the information. It's just like, oh, we're pipers. What the fuck is a piper? What does that mean? The problem is, it seems almost like it's trying to be a show don't tell kind of situation. Like, oh, you're supposed to just watch and you're supposed to understand based on context clues. It's like, what fucking context clues? It's not explaining anything even in a show don't tell way. The only thing I could follow along with is, like, what they're currently doing. Like, the entire deal with protecting Balgo, and then the stuff with Macy and this dragon, which, by the way, feels like two very completely different stories just thrust in here. Like, I'm not the biggest Bleach fan. Like, I prefer One Piece, obviously. But I like Bleach, and Bleach is well-paced, well-handled. the stories and everything feel naturally integrated in. I just didn't get that with this. It's like I didn't mind the characters. The characters were fine. Balgo was a little annoying, if I'm being completely honest. But Ninny, Noelle, Macy, it's like, okay, fine. I can get behind them. The chief, who is a secret super badass, I actually kind of dig that idea. But at the same time, again, it feels like it's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks without seeing if anything else has already stuck. It just keeps throwing stuff at you. And it doesn't give you time to actually process anything properly. And that's just my biggest issue with this. It's not altogether bad, but it has notable issues. A lot of things are way too fast paced. Even this big battle at the end with Cinderella, it's way too quick. It's way too quick, and it ends on such an anticlimactic note. Even though it shows the chief to be the secret badass, it's like, that was really disappointing. It was way too easy in the end. Like, this one dude from who knows how far away exactly it was is just able to shoot one shot and, break a piece of its horn off. Suddenly it's dead. It's like, I'm sorry? That seems way too fucking easy. And on top of that, it's like Macy, who is super protective of this thing at first, just gives up. Just does not give a shit anymore. This dragon she raised and loved and who loved her just dies. It's like, yeah, you could make the argument like, oh, but she saw it attack her and it didn't recognize her, and Ninny even told her, it's like, you can't reason with it anymore, and she loves Ninny as well, and so she trusts Ninny's judgment here. But it's like, with how clearly built up the idea of of her and Cinderella's bond was, I'm sorry, she wouldn't have given that up that quickly. I don't believe that for a second. Then there's Bruno. Why the fuck was he suddenly campaigning for Balgo to survive? That came out of nowhere. It like, even the chief guy, the guy he was talking to, it was even surprised by that. Because it literally came out of nowhere. You could try, like, the only argument you could try to make is, oh, he feels indebted to Ninny and Noelle for helping take out the dragon. But they didn't do fucking shit. Neither did he. None of them did shit. It was literally one dude who took out Cinderella. The rest of them were basically fucked. They weren't doing shit to it. Also, Balgo with the sword thing has not been explained. Granted, if there's going to be more of this, that could be explained in the future. That's not as big a deal, because there is apparently going to be again, quote unquote, season 2 of the manga. But yeah, it just feels like, again, we were thrust into the middle of a story that was already going. And maybe the prologue helps with that. The prologue that is the prologue anime that's going to be coming at some point, that is based off of the one-shot that preceded this. Maybe that would help. Because I just feel so lost. And honestly, with the fact that at the end it kind of reveals that it's the UK's Soul Society, and that it's connected, it's in the same world as Bleach, that reveal kind of makes it feel like it's riding on Bleach's coattails without any of the actual effort put in, which is weird because, again, it's the same author, it's the same creator. Tite Kubo made this as well, and mind you, I don't know how this is paced out and everything in the manga. This could just be an issue from Studio Colorido, They might have just not been able to adapt this well. They might have just, done a bad job at this. I don't know. I can't say. But what I can say is I didn't enjoy this. I felt the pacing was weird. I felt like, again, just information was being thrown way too quickly without actually explaining any of it. I didn't dislike any of the characters except maybe Balgo, but I also didn't get a chance to really care for them either. Because this is being like thrown at us a million miles a minute, we don't get time to connect with any of the characters. Honestly, outside of just their most base personality, I know pretty much shit all about them. I couldn't tell outside of the base serious personality. I can't tell you shit about Noelle. The only thing I can tell you about Ninny outside of her more abrasive personality is that she's, I guess, a part of a singing group with Macy. Well, formerly with Macy. She quit, I guess. But it's like, I couldn't tell you shit about any of these other characters because they weren't given anything. Because there wasn't time to give them anything. This movie definitely needed to be longer, for one. And for two, I still hate the fact that Crunchyroll split it up into episodes like this. But it definitely needed to be long, like notably longer. I would say at least it needed to be an hour and a half to hour 40 minutes. Considering it was only an hour, that's a notable increase. It needed more time to flesh things out to make things actually feel understandable. Because it's just I just wasn't connecting here. That was my biggest issue. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Burn the Witch? Let me know your thoughts below, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.